Welcome again, everyone. Now let's see how we can design web pages using CSS. So what is CSS? Cascading Style Sheets is a language used to describe the look and formatting of a document written in HTML. While HTML provides the structure and contents of the web page, CSS is all about presentation and layout. You can think of CSS as the paint and decorations of a house. It's what makes your content look like attractive and visually appealing. So understanding the style tag is used to embed CSS styles directly within an HTML document. Inside this tag, you can define the styles that will apply to various HTML elements on your page. For example, here we have styles for header 1 and strong elements, each with different property set. For example, here the header color is green and the background color is light gray. This sets the text color for the header 1 to green and gives them a light gray color background. For the paragraph, it says the font family is Arial and it will have a 10-point margin to its left. And the strong tag gives emphasized text to strong, and the color will be light green with a padding of 5 points. So what are the CSS selectors? CSS selectors are patterns used to select the elements you want to style. They are a fundamental part of CSS, allowing you to target specific HTML elements and apply styles to them. Think of selectors as instructions that tell the browser, hey, find this element on the page and then apply these styles to them. Without selectors, CSS wouldn't know which elements to style. Type selectors are among the most common and straightforward selectors. Um, for example, using a type selector, a paragraph color blue would apply the blue color to all paragraphs. Elements on the web page, it's a quick way to style all the elements of a specific type. And then there is the universal selector. It is represented by an asterisk or the small star sign at the up. It selects all elements in a web page. For example, star margin to 0, padding to 0 would remove all the margins and paddings from every element on the page. While not commonly as type selectors, the universal selector can be very handy when you need to apply a global style or reset styles for all element. However, no, this should be used very cautiously because it can have a broader impact. So, as I said, here is a broad overview of the type selectors. As we mentioned before, these are allowed you to style in all instances of a specific HTML element. This is very useful when you want to apply the same styling rules across multiple elements of the same type without having specify each one individually. And the universal selector is represented by an asterisk. It's called a universal selector because it can match every element on a web page, making it a powerful tool when you need to apply styles broadly. So this is how you use a universal selector. This example demonstrates how various CSS selectors can be used to style different elements on a web page. Here we see combination of universal selector, a type selector, and a type selector targeting multiple elements. These selectors help us control the appearance of different parts of the web page efficiently. Breaking down the example, universal selector. The universal selector is used here with the star text align center. This center this centers the text for all elements that can contain text, making the entire web page look neat and uniform. And then the type selector with one element, the type selector HR uh, sets the width to 50%, targets all HR elements, setting their width to 50%. This reduces the length of horizontal lines, making them less dominant and more visibly appealing. And then type selector with multiple element, for example h2 and paragraphs using a comma separated list, the header 2 and the paragraph. The font style is set to be italic, the color is set to be blue. This selectors applies the same style for both header 2 and the paragraph elements. It makes the text italic and blue, providing a constant style for both headings and paragraphs. Now there are some rules for CSS structuring. A CSS rule is a set of instruction that tell the browser how to style specific HTML elements. Understanding the correct syntax for writing CSS rules is essential for effective styling. A basic CSS rule consists of a selector followed by a declaration block. The declaration block is enclosed in curly braces and contains one or more property value pairs. And for using multiple sectors, sometimes you may want to apply the same style to multiple elements. In such cases, you can use multiple selectors separated by commas. For example, header 1, header 2, paragraphs. In this rule, the color style will be applied to all the header 1s and header 2s and the paragraph elements. Using multiple selectors help you to avoid repetitive code and ensures the consistency. Value pairs, each property value pair specifies a particular style to apply to the selected elements. For example, color is the property and the value here is blue. Together they define that the text color should be blue. Some best practices for CSS syntax is when writing CSS rules, keep these best practices in mind. Use clear and descriptive selectors to target the right elements, ensure correct punctuation, including spaces, colons, and semicolons to avoid syntax errors, group related selectors and styles to keep your CSS organized and readable. And this example showcase our basic HTML documents used to create a simple advertisement for a motorcycle, and the HTML code is written without the CSS. Now here it represents the same code with the CSS implementation. This example builds on a basic HTML document by adding CSS styles to enhance its visual presentation. Um, for example, the header here we used green and now this is green. And for the paragraphs, we fixed the um, font family to Arial. So now these are in a different font and it has a 10-point margin on its left. CSS properties are the tools we use to control the appearance of HTML elements by adjusting properties like background color, font family, padding, and margin. We can fine tune how our content looks and feels. Um, this property, the background color, this property sets the background color of an element. It's useful for highlighting or distinguish different sections of a page. Color, the property changes, sorry. Color, the property changes background color of an element. And then font family, this property specifies the font used for an element's text. And then font size, this property sets the size of the text, making it larger or smaller. And then the padding, this property adds spaces between the element's content and its border. It's very useful for preventing content from touching the corner edges. And then finally, margin. This property creates spaces around elements outside their borders. It's useful for separating elements from each other. Um, for example, you can specify margin individually for each side of an element using margin top, bottom, or left. Colors are a very powerful tool in web design, helping to set the mood, create a visual interest, and guide user attention. In CSS, you can define colors in different ways to suit your design needs. The most common method are using standard color names and RGB values, each providing a different level of precision and flexibility. The standard color names in CSS includes a list of standard color names that are easy to remember and use. These names represent common colors like blue, red, orange, etc. Using the RGB values for precise color control. So it means that RGB stands for red, green, and blue, the primary colors of the light. But combining these three colors in different intensities, you can create virtually any color. So RGB values are ranged from 0 to 255. Um, so here let's understand the RGB color model. The RGB color model is based on the primary colors of the light, red, green, and blue. By combining this, we say that each RGB value is a number and it's between 0 to 55. Um, Higher values means more intensity, and combine this in various ways yields different colors. For example, the RGB code for red is 255 comma 0 and 0. So how we use RGB values in CSS? RGB values offer precise control over color choices. By adjusting the values of red, green, and blue, you can create both basic and complex colors to match your design needs. So that's all for this lecture, and in the next one we will look into the basics of the JavaScript. Thank you, everyone.